it's happening in New York, New Jersey, or Long Island. Hear about it with Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.
Joe Piscopo with Randy Newman, 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. That is a song that is so telling for this day, September 11th. And then when I find myself next to the commissioner of the New York Police Department at that time, all those years ago, 17 years ago, and Rudolph Giuliani, Mayor Giuliani, who just said, this is the great man that I could not have really done all that I did without this man. He's sitting right next to us in the studio. Bernard Kerik, former commissioner of the NYPD. Bernie, what an honor to have you here, brother. Thank you for coming in live. And I know the mayor just called you, said, come to Ground Zero. You said, wait, I promised my old pal Joe. So thank you, brother, for being here, man.
Thank you.
No, it's great. And thank you for all that you did, Bernie. You know, this is why I admire you. First of all, we have fun. And we're two Jersey guys. You're Patterson, Newark, I mean, you know, and your son.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. I was born in Newark.
You were born in Newark. That's right.
St. Michael's.
Yeah.
St. Michael's.
Look at you. I love that. Then you went on, and like the mayor reminded me, you're international around the world. But I got to lay into this. And if you're listening, you're watching on YouTube and Facebook with Joe and Frank and Al and Debbie in the morning. And forgive me, okay? But I think it's so important to send this message out every September 11th because otherwise we will forget. Tell us what you went through, and then I want to hear everything else that's happening in your life, and you're so busy, and I appreciate it. What you went through that morning, the call you got, with the mayor touched on it, that he says he couldn't have done all that he did without you, Bernie Kerik. Would you share that with us, please?
Listen, first of all, I don't think we could have done what we did in the city without him. Under his leadership, the men and women in the NYPD, the fire department, the Port Authority police effected the greatest rescue mission in the history of this country.
Yeah.
They took 20 to 25,000 people out of those buildings, and they evacuated, Joe, more than 1 million people out of Manhattan into the 4 boroughs, the other boroughs, into New Jersey, with the help of the New Jersey State Police, the Jersey City cops, the Newark cops, just plain civilians on the harbor. That was, they did a documentary called The Boat People, where they were moving all these people out of lower Manhattan over into Jersey. We couldn't have done that without the mayor's leadership. So I'd have to, say that first and foremost. As for what happened on that day, look, I was in my office when the first plane hit.
You were at One Police Plaza? You were over there?
I was in One Police Plaza on the 14th floor. I just got done working out.
Yeah.
I was taking a shave. I'm standing there. And John Picciano, my chief of staff, came in and was kicking the outside door, like banging on the door like a lunatic. And I had a towel wrapped around me. And I go over to the door. I slam open the door. I said, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
He said, Commissioner, plane just hit Tower 1. I said, okay, relax, calm down. I'm thinking it's, a Cessna or whatever.
Yep.
And I look up at a treadmill above, I look up at a TV that was above the treadmill, and I could see the damage to the building. And when I saw the damage to the building, I knew that wasn't a Cessna. It was something else. I honestly, at first glance, I don't even know if I really believed it was a plane because of the damage. I went into my conference room down the hall, and I could see out of that window, the conference room window, I could see clear as day the top of the tower. And I went into my desk. I called the mayor. I said, I'll meet you at 7 World Trade. That was directly across the street from Tower 1 where our command center was.
Yeah.
Jumped in the car, got downtown, and when I got to West Broadway in Vesey, my car pulled up. There was a sergeant and there were some cops there. And the sergeant came up to the car and he said, Commissioner, you can't pull onto the block. There are people jumping. And when he said it to me, I didn't know what he meant. I didn't understand. I didn't know what he was talking about. I stepped out of the car, and as I stepped out of the car, we're at the corner of Vesey. I watched, a couple dozen people jump from the top of one. And as they came down the side of the building, they I guess the wind pulls them away, and they were landing everywhere. They were landing right off of Vesey. They were landing in the courtyard between the two buildings, and pretty much, disintegrating when they hit the ground. And
Bernie, I hate to stay on this, but people forget. So forgive me, Commissioner. you're stepping out of your car. Did you know what that was when you saw it coming down? Did you think maybe it was debris?
No, in all honesty, Joe, and anybody that was down there, they will tell you this. When these people first started coming down off the building, they just looked like specks. I mean, they were 1,100 feet high, 1,000 feet high. You didn't know what they were until they got closer. And I remember when the mayor got there, so I get there, I'm at Vesey, about 3 minutes after I arrived there, the second plane slams through the north side of Tower 2. And we're in the middle of the street. We're between Barclay and Vesey Street on West Broadway, and the second plane hits. So when you see that big orange fireball blow out the north side of the building, we're standing under it, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
Ground shakes.
You know? And I could hear the helicopter pilots yelling into the radios that a second plane just hit Tower 2. I didn't see the plane. The plane came from the southern end of Manhattan. So the mayor got there a couple minutes later after the second plane hit. And I remember he grabbed my arm and he said, this is uncharted territory for us. And at the time, Joe, I thought he was talking about the attack, the devastation, the damage, the magnitude of the event. And later on, about 2 or 3 weeks later, we were actually sitting in the command center up on the pier, and we were sitting in there and we're talking. And I asked him about that, and he said, "I was talking about being attacked on U.S. soil." And when you think about that, I mean.
Yeah.
But this goes back to the mayor's mindset. He was there 3 minutes after the second plane hit, and the first thing he thought of was this is an attack by whomever. We didn't know who it was yet. We had a basic idea. But
no one knew what was going on, yeah.
But he said, we're in uncharted territory. We've been attacked on U.S. soil, and we had never been attacked on U.S. soil, with the exception of Pearl Harbor, and that was a military attack on a military installation.
Exactly.
This was an unconventional attack by some radical lunatics on a civilian population.
So, and then to walk us through from there, you went into the command center, and we talked to the mayor about it briefly. This is fascinating. This is why when we're out and we're having a good time, like at your book signing for Grave Above the Grave, and when all the people come to see Bernie Kerik, and we know your fine work as commissioner of NYPD. But then I'm thinking, man, I asked the mayor this, if you could walk us through what happened when you were in the command center, it starts to collapse. And I said to the mayor, did you think you were dying? Did you sense you weren't getting out of there, Bernie?
Yeah, when the mayor first got there, we went down to West Street, and we actually met with Chief Gansey, the chief of operations, the first deputy commissioner of the fire department. There was an emergency service cop there, a sergeant named John Coughlin. They were all at this temporary command center on West Street with Father Judge. And we talked to them for like 10 minutes. We walked away. Father Judge actually blessed the mayor as we were walking down the street. And we went back to Barclay and West Broadway, and we went in this tiny office. One of my bodyguards basically took over the office. We went in there. The mayor got on the phone with the White House, and I'm standing in front of him in a doorway. He's sitting in the chair looking at me at the side of a desk, and all of a sudden he hangs up the phone. He's supposed to be waiting for the president. He hangs up the phone, and he says, "This isn't good." He says, I think they just said that the Pentagon got hit, and they're evacuating the White House, and they hung up on me. And as he said it, the door slammed open. Joe Esposito, who was my chief of department, who's the OEM commissioner today.
Yeah, great guy, Joe.
Great guy, and he sends his regards. I told him I'd be here today.
My best, right back.
He slams open the door, and he said, "It's coming down." And the building we were in started to shake like a freight train was coming through the side of it. And within, 15 seconds, the entire room we were in was smothered with gas and dust and all this stuff. And, I don't know what the mayor was thinking. People were diving under desks and under tables and stuff. And all I could think of all the garbage like I had been through in my career, gun battles and, all this stuff I had done in my life. And I'm going to suffocate in this office because I can't breathe. We were actually trapped in there for about 20 to 25 minutes until I got these maintenance guys to get us out, and we walked through the base of the building over onto Church Street. But what's sad and what's hard to deal with, I think, for me and for the mayor, is that every one of those guys that we met with 15 minutes earlier on West Street died. Every single one of them. The entire command staff of the fire department, with the exception of the commissioner who was with us, every one of those guys died. John Coughlin, my ESU cop.
Father Judge.
Every one of those guys died. So, it was only a matter, and I constantly say this to people to remind them, there are thousands of hero stories about 9/11 and thousands of different things that went on. But at the end of the day, it was all a matter of 10 steps. I had 6 guys that were down at the financial center when Tower 2 began to implode, and they were standing together like we are in this room talking. And when Tower 2 started to come down, they ran to get away from it. 4 lived, 2 died. And it just depended, and they were together. I mean, they were 2 feet apart.
Yeah.
It depended on which way you ran, whether you were able to get behind something or not.
Commissioner Bernard Kerik with Piscopo in the morning, 18 minutes after 9 o'clock. By the way, Bernie wrote this great novel that you got to get, A Grave Above the Grave, Grave Above the Grave. And Commissioner, we appreciate your time, especially this special day. But I have to ask you, Bernie, as a friend, what you just went through, as a cop. You were the leader of the New York Police Department, the stellar NYPD. Then and I hate to make this political, but you said you wanted to mention something about some of the political things that you see on the air. How incensed do you get like that after what you just told me, what you went through as a New York police officer?
Well, you're talking about Kaepernick,
Colin Kaepernick,
not standing for the national anthem. I think it's disrespectful to the flag. I think it's disrespectful to the men and women that serve in the United States military and law enforcement. But as him directly, I just think he's a thug. And I think he's a thug. When you see a guy that's wearing these socks, those pig socks. Now, Joe, we're old men. We've been around a while, right? Back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, the Black Liberation Army and the Black Panther Party and the Weather Underground, these radical communist groups that were murdering cops, robbing banks, blowing all kind of buildings up. They blew up the PBA building downtown. They're responsible. The BLA was responsible for, 10 assassinations of New York City and San Francisco cops over a period of time. They used to wear those things all the time, stuff like that. And then come to find out, last year, this guy gave $25,000 to an organization supporting Joanne Chesimard, Assata Shakur, who killed a New Jersey state trooper,
Werner Foster,
and was the queen of the Black Liberation Army. Don't make it, and then he talks about, the oppression. That's exactly what Joanne Chesimard used to talk about as a BLA queen, the oppression. You want oppression, buddy? I'll take you to some countries I've been to.
Yeah.
I'll show you oppression.
Yeah.
You want to play communism and socialism? Okay. I could play that game, and I could take you to places that would haunt you for the rest of your life. At the end of the day, this guy's a thug trying to make a name for himself in the wrong way. And I think people that support him, I think Nike's campaign to support him is despicable. How do you give $25,000 to an organization supporting a convicted cop killer, and somebody that was responsible for, in an organization responsible for a number of cop assassinations and executions?
Bernie, I'll tell you, you're a real hero, my friend, and God bless you for all you did. I am just in awe of you, and you and Mary Giuliani, right to ground zero, block from here, brother.
Yeah, but you know what, Joe? Listen, we were the leadership at the time. We did the best we could, but the real heroics were done by the men and women in the New York City Fire Department, the New York City Police Department, in the Port Authority Police. They are the people that we should be celebrating today, remembering today, and the families of those left behind.
Yeah, God bless you, Bernie. Thanks. You're welcome to stay. I know you've been called by the mayor to go, and remember those.
Well, Frankie threatened me to come down here. He threatened me with physical bodily harm if I didn't show up.
Wait. Look at him. Did he really bodily harm?
That's right. That's what makes me so dangerous.
You can't mess with 5 boroughs, man. And also, the book is great. Congratulations on the success of the book, Bernie. Grave Above the Grave. And thank you for taking the time. Commissioner Bernard Kerik. Nothing Man is the name of that song, and that is one of the most spectacular. Thank you, Bernie. One of the most spectacular songs. You got to listen from Bruce Springsteen. And I remember I saw Bruce. I said, "Man, Nothing Man." He goes, "Yeah, man. That was my son's favorite song. It's about a guy who was like just an accidental hero from 9/11." And we got to go, but I want to punch this up if I could find the right one. I was on a cruise. It was a yacht, and it was a Siller Foundation event. Commissioner Kerik was there, who's right next to me now, and Rudolph Giuliani was there hosting the whole thing, and we were Bo was there, and then Rudy did this. The Statue of Liberty was in the background, and this is Rudy Giuliani. I can't believe I found it, and I'm just playing it cold off my phone, but forgive me. This is Rudy paying tribute to his police commissioner here. Let me see.
Who was my police commissioner that day? Was with me when we almost lost our lives. Got us through the building that we were trapped in.
That was great. Rudy took the moment that was on a boat, and he said, with the Statue of Liberty overlooking us, he thanked you, Bernard Kerik, and he said, "This is the man," and he did it again 3 times this morning, man. So we're honored to have you here, Bernie, this morning, my friend.
Well, he's the one that deserves the credit.
No, God bless you. Thanks for saving the city with Mayor Giuliani. Thanks, Commissioner.
Everybody knows this guy. No, everybody knows he can do a radio show. Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.